You can live without a single locked door, without a single chain around you, and still never be truly free. Because the most dangerous prison has no walls. It is built within the mind, built from the choices we mistake for freedom, from the fear we spend our lives trying to escape, from time which we hope will somehow heal us, from the love that so easily becomes possession, from the images we create of others and of ourselves. Then there is the observer within us. There is thought, endlessly in motion. There is silence, which we rarely truly know. And there is attention, without choice, without judgment. Krishnamurti did not ask, "How can I become a better person?" He asked something far more disturbing. Can we see ourselves exactly as we are, without trying to change, control, or escape from what we see? In this video, we will move through 10 lessons: choice, fear, time, love, image, the observer, thought, silence, attention, and finally, freedom. But these are not 10 techniques for becoming a better version of yourself. Because perhaps the very self you are trying to improve is what built the prison in the first place. And if that is true, then the question is no longer, how do I escape? The real question becomes, what if the one searching for freedom is itself part of the prison? Thousands of people came to hear Jiddu Krishnamurti tell them how to find the truth. Instead, he told them to stop following. He had been prepared for years to become a world spiritual leader. An organization had been built around him. People admired him, trusted him, and were ready to accept him as their guide. He had everything most people spend their lives chasing: status, influence, recognition, a loyal audience. And then he gave it all up. Krishnamurti rejected the role others had created for him. He argued that truth could not belong to a religion, an institution, a book, or a teacher. No one could hand it to you. You had to see it for yourself. But the most interesting question is not why Krishnamurti walked away. The real question is this: why are we so eager to follow? Why do we want someone else to tell us what success looks like? Why do we need another person to confirm that we are making the right choices? Why do we search for answers everywhere, except within our own lives? From the time we are young, we are trained to look outward. Our families tell us what kind of career is practical. Our schools tell us what achievement looks like. Advertising tells us what we need in order to feel complete. Social media shows us who appears to be winning, and before long, we begin measuring our lives by standards we never consciously chose. A good salary, a respectable title, a beautiful home, a perfect relationship, a life that looks impressive from the outside. There is nothing wrong with wanting any of those things. The problem begins when we never stop to ask why we want them. You may have a job that looks great on paper, but leaves you drained every Sunday night. You may stay in a relationship because starting over feels more frightening than staying unhappy. You may keep chasing the next promotion, the next paycheck, or the next milestone, because slowing down would force you to face a question you have been avoiding. Is this actually the life I want? That question is uncomfortable, because the answer may challenge everything you have worked to build. It may reveal that some of your biggest decisions were not made from clarity. They were made from fear. Fear of disappointing your parents. Fear of falling behind. Fear of being alone. Fear of looking unsuccessful. Fear of admitting that the path you chose no longer feels right. This is where Krishnamurti's work becomes deeply personal. He did not offer a step-by-step program for happiness. He did not create a belief system for people to join. And he did not want his words to become another set of rules. He asked people to do something much harder. Pay attention to themselves. Not the person they wished they were, not the person they presented to the world, but the person revealed through their actual thoughts, fears, habits, and reactions. In this video, we will explore 10 of Krishnamurti's most powerful life lessons. These lessons are not commandments. They are not shortcuts. And they are not promises that your life will suddenly become peaceful. They are invitations to look more honestly at fear, comparison, loneliness, ambition, dependence, emotional pain, and the need for control. You do not have to agree with everything. You only have to examine it, test it against your own experience, and notice what happens when you stop asking, "What should I believe?" and begin asking, "What is actually true in my life?" The first lesson begins there. Lesson 1. Before you change your life, see what is running it. Most people believe they are making their own choices. But are they? Think about one major decision in your life. Your career, your relationship, the city where you live, the way you spend your time, the future you are working toward. Now ask yourself, did I choose this because it was right for me? Or because it helped me avoid fear? That question may be harder to answer than it appears. You may say you chose your career because it is stable. But perhaps stability also protects you from the possibility of failure. You may say you want to be successful. But perhaps success has become a way to prove your worth to someone who once made you feel inadequate. You may say you are staying in a relationship because you love the person. But perhaps you are also afraid of being alone, starting over, or explaining the breakup to everyone around you. Important decisions are rarely driven by one simple reason. Love may be present, but so may fear. Passion may be present, but so may insecurity. Responsibility may be present, but so may guilt. Unless you see all of these forces clearly, you may believe that you are freely choosing while old fears are quietly choosing for you. A life that looks right on paper. Imagine a man named Alex. Alex has what many people would call a successful life. He has a corporate job, a steady paycheck, health insurance, and a title that sounds impressive when someone asks what he does. His parents are proud of him. His friends assume he is doing well. His resume shows progress. But every Sunday night, Alex feels the same heaviness in his chest. He dreads Monday morning. Years earlier, Alex wanted to pursue a different kind of work. It was less predictable and did not come with a clear career path. His family told him to be realistic. They reminded him how hard life could be without financial security. They were trying to protect him. So Alex chose the safer path. At first, the decision made sense. Then 1 year became 5. 5 became 10. Eventually, Alex stopped thinking about what he had once wanted. His life is not a disaster. That is what makes the situation difficult. Nothing is obviously wrong. He pays his bills. He is respected. He has done what responsible adults are supposed to do. And yet, part of him feels absent from his own life. The biggest problem is not that Alex made the wrong choice. The biggest problem is that he has never honestly examined what made the choice for him. Was it wisdom? Was it fear? Was it love for his family? Was it the need for approval? Was it all of those things at once? Until he understands that, changing jobs may not solve the real problem. He could leave one career, enter another, and still be controlled by the same need to feel safe and accepted. That is why self-understanding matters. Without it, we often change the outside of our lives while repeating the same pattern on the inside. We borrow more than we realize. Many of us are living with borrowed definitions. We borrow our idea of success from society. We borrow our picture of happiness from social media. We borrow our ambitions from our families. We borrow our beliefs from the people around us. Then we spend years defending those ideas as though we created them ourselves. You may believe success means making more money because that is what your environment rewarded. You may believe a good relationship must last forever because ending it feels like failure. You may believe rest is laziness because you were praised only when you were productive. You may believe your value depends on being needed because no one taught you how to feel worthy on your own. These beliefs do not always announce themselves. They hide inside ordinary decisions. You work late again. You say yes when you want to say no. You stay quiet to keep the peace. You compare your life with someone else's highlight reel. You pursue a goal that no longer matters to you. And because everyone around you behaves in similar ways, none of it seems unusual. That does not mean every influence is harmful. We all need guidance. We all learn from family, culture, education, and experience. The question is not whether you have been influenced. Of course you have. The question is whether you can see the influence clearly enough to decide whether it still belongs in your life. When influence remains unconscious, it controls you. When you see it clearly, you can respond intelligently. You may still choose the secure job, but now you understand why. You may still stay in the relationship, but now you are staying from care rather than fear. You may still pursue success, but success no longer determines whether you believe you are worthy. The action may look the same from the outside. Internally, it is completely different. The past is often making present-day decisions. Krishnamurti repeatedly examined the role of memory in human life. Memory is necessary. Without it, we could not function. We need memory to speak, work, drive, recognize people, and move through daily life. But psychological memory often does more than store information. It shapes perception. Suppose someone once betrayed you. Years later, you enter a new relationship. Your new partner is late coming home and does not answer a message. The situation is happening now, but your reaction may belong to the past. Your body tightens. Your mind begins building a story. You assume something is wrong. You are no longer responding only to the present situation. You are responding to the pain of what happened before. The same pattern appears in other areas of life. A person who was constantly criticized may interpret feedback as rejection. A person who once failed publicly may avoid taking risks for years. A child who was frequently compared with others may grow into an adult who can never enjoy success without checking whether someone else is doing better. The past is over. But its emotional patterns can remain active. This is why two people can experience the same event and react in completely different ways. They are not only seeing what is happening, they are seeing it through everything that has already happened to them. Sometimes we are not reacting to the person in front of us. We are reacting to the memory attached to them. Sometimes we are not afraid of the opportunity in front of us. We are afraid of repeating an old failure. Sometimes we are not defending the truth. We are defending an old wound. Until we recognize this, we may confuse our reactions with reality. We say, "This is simply how things are." But often, it is only how things appear, through the filter of our past. Observation is not self-criticism. At this point, many people make a common mistake. They begin looking inward and immediately start judging everything they see. They notice jealousy and think, "I should not feel this way." They notice fear and think, "I need to be stronger." They notice anger and try to force themselves to calm down. This may sound like self-improvement, but often it creates more conflict. One part of you is afraid. Another part attacks the fear. One part is jealous. Another part tries to hide the jealousy. One part is angry. Another part wants to appear calm and spiritually mature. Now there are two problems instead of one. There is the original emotion, and there is your judgment of the emotion. Krishnamurti's approach was different. He suggested observing the emotion before trying to change it, not approving of it, not acting it out, simply understanding it. When anger appears, pause before saying, "I should not be angry." Ask, what exactly was threatened? Was it my safety? Was it something I care about? Or was it my image of myself? Did I feel ignored, disrespected, powerless? Was I defending something real or protecting my pride? When jealousy appears, do not immediately cover it with politeness. Look at it. Why does another person's success feel like a personal loss? Do you truly want what they have? Or have you learned to measure your value by comparison? When loneliness appears, notice your first impulse. Do you reach for your phone? Turn on the television? Check social media? Text someone you know is not good for you. What are you trying not to feel? Observation is not passive. It requires courage. It is easier to distract yourself than to remain present with an uncomfortable emotion. It is easier to explain your behavior than to understand it. It is easier to blame someone else than to see your own fear at work. But without honest observation, there is no real understanding. And without understanding, change becomes another form of pressure. Try this for 60 seconds. You can test this right now. For the next 60 seconds, do not try to quiet your mind. Do not control your breathing. Do not force yourself to feel peaceful. Do not try to improve anything. Just notice what is happening. A thought may appear, then another. You may remember something from earlier today. You may begin planning what you will do after this video. You may become impatient. You may think, "This is pointless." Let each thought appear without fighting it. Imagine you are sitting beside a highway. The thoughts are cars. You can see them pass without jumping into everyone. After 60 seconds, ask yourself, was I watching my thoughts, or did I disappear into them? Most people quickly discover how little control they have over the movement of their own minds. A thought appears. and we follow it. A memory appears, and our mood changes. A comparison appears, and our confidence drops. A fear appears, and our entire body reacts. The purpose of observation is not to stop every thought. It is to become aware of the process. Because the moment you become aware of a pattern, you are no longer completely trapped inside it. There is now space between the reaction and the action. And in that space, a different response becomes possible. Advice can help, but it cannot see for you. Other people can offer perspective. A friend may recognize that your relationship is unhealthy. A mentor may see that you have outgrown your career. A therapist may help you identify a pattern you have repeated for years. A book may give language to something you have always felt, but could never explain. All of that can be valuable. But no one can do the seeing for you. No one else can fully experience the fear that keeps you in a relationship. No one else can feel the guilt that appears when you consider disappointing your family. No one else can understand exactly why criticism affects you so deeply. Another person can point, you still have to look. This is why Krishnamurti resisted becoming an authority figure. The moment you treat another person's answer as absolute truth, you may stop investigating your own life. Instead of asking, "What is happening inside me?" you begin asking, "What would my teacher say? What would this author do? What does my group believe?" You may leave one belief system and enter another. You may reject one authority and immediately search for a new one. The names change. The dependence remains. Real understanding begins when advice becomes a starting point for observation, not a substitute for it. Clear seeing changes behavior. Imagine that you are holding a hot metal pan without realizing how badly it can burn you. Someone may shout, "Let go!" But if you do not feel the heat, you may continue holding it. The moment you fully recognize the danger, your hand opens. You do not need a motivational speech. You do not need a 10-step plan. You do not need to repeat an affirmation. Seeing clearly creates the action. Psychological change can happen in a similar way. When you fully see how comparison is damaging your peace, comparison begins to lose its appeal. When you clearly understand that controlling another person is destroying the relationship, control can no longer hide behind the name of love. When you see how deeply your need for approval shapes your choices, praise and criticism begin to lose some of their power. This does not mean that every pattern disappears instantly. Human behavior is complex, but clear observation changes your relationship with the pattern. You can no longer say, "I do not know why I keep doing this." You can see the fear. You can see the memory. You can see the reward you receive from the behavior. You can see the cost. And once the pattern becomes visible, repeating it is no longer completely automatic. That is where change begins. Not with force, not with shame, not with becoming the person you think you should be, but with seeing the person you actually are. The first lesson in one sentence. Krishnamurti's first lesson can be expressed very simply. Before you try to change your life, understand what is making your choices for you. Is it clarity, fear, love, guilt, ambition, loneliness, the need to be admired, the need to feel safe? You do not have to condemn any of these forces. You only have to recognize them. A book may open a door. A teacher may point toward the door. A difficult experience may push you toward it, but no one else can walk through it for you. Before moving on, carry one question with you. Which parts of my life come from genuine understanding, and which parts come from fear? Ask it when you are working late. Ask it when you say yes, but want to say no. Ask it when you compare yourself with someone online. Ask it when you feel desperate to prove that you are right. Ask it when you are afraid to let someone go. Do not rush to answer. Watch what happens. You may begin to notice that many choices you once called freedom were actually old reactions, wearing new clothes. But that leads to an even more difficult question. If we can see that a habit is hurting us, why do we keep repeating it? Why does a person who knows anger is destroying their family continue to lose control? Why do we compare ourselves with others, even when we know comparison makes us miserable? Why does the past continue to shape the present long after the original event is over? To answer that, we have to look more closely at memory, habit, and the psychological weight of everything we already know. And that is where Lesson 2 begins. We ended the previous lesson with a question. If a person knows that anger is destroying their family, why do they continue becoming angry? If we know that comparison makes us unhappy, why do we continue comparing ourselves? If a job is slowly exhausting us, why do we remain there? At first glance, these seem like completely different problems. But are they? Or are they all being sustained by the same movement of the mind? Perhaps, perhaps not. To find out, we must look carefully at something almost everyone believes they already understand. Fear. What happens when fear appears? Let us observe something very simple. You receive a phone call from the hospital. Instantly, your body becomes tense. Someone says, "I need to talk to you." Nothing has been explained, yet the mind has already begun imagining. Your employer asks to see you. Before a single word is spoken, your heartbeat changes. Why? What actually happened? Was it the event itself, or was it something else? Do we really know what fear is? We say, "I am afraid of failure. I am afraid of losing someone I love. I am afraid of growing old. I am afraid of being rejected. I am afraid of being alone." These are familiar expressions. But let us not move too quickly. When you say, "I am afraid of losing my job," what are you actually experiencing at that moment? Have you already lost it? Or are you imagining what might happen? When you say, "I am afraid of tomorrow," is tomorrow here? Or is thought projecting itself into a future that has not yet arrived? Do not answer immediately. Stay with the question. Observe it. Krishnamurti begins here. Most of us ask, how can I overcome fear? How can I become more courageous? Krishnamurti asked a different question. What is fear? Not, what should I do about it? Not, how do I escape it? Simply, what is it? That may sound like a small difference. It is not, because the moment we begin asking how to escape fear, our attention has already moved away from understanding it. Look at what the mind does. Fear appears. Immediately, the mind wants relief. It looks for reassurance. It seeks certainty. It searches for advice. It distracts itself. It keeps busy. It turns on the television. It reaches for the phone. It opens social media. It plans. It worries. It hopes. Notice how quickly all this happens. Can you see it in yourself? The fear appears, and almost at once, the movement away from fear begins. We are no longer observing fear. We are observing the many ways the mind escapes from it. Is that not so? Can fear be understood if we are always running away? Suppose you wish to understand another human being. Would you understand them by constantly avoiding them? Or would you have to remain with them, watching, listening, without immediately judging or trying to change what you see? Could the same be true of fear? If every encounter with fear is followed by an attempt to escape, have we ever actually met fear at all? Or have we spent our lives becoming experts only in escape? Do not accept this. Do not reject it. Simply watch. Because perhaps the understanding of fear does not begin with finding a solution. Perhaps it begins the moment we stop running long enough to see what fear actually is. In the first two lessons, we saw that many of the choices we make in life do not arise from clarity. They arise from fear. But that brings us to another question. If we have already seen fear, why does it continue? What keeps it alive for years? Perhaps the answer lies in something almost no one ever questions: time. The strangest thing is, we spend our entire lives waiting for our lives to begin. When I have more money, when my career is secure, when my children grow up, when I retire, when I finally find peace, when I become a better person, there is always a someday, always a better version of ourselves, waiting somewhere ahead. And we believe that, given enough time, that person will eventually appear. But stop for a moment. If life is always beginning tomorrow, when do we actually live? Are we truly living? Or are we endlessly preparing to live? This is not a philosophical question. It is a question about the way we actually live. For almost our entire civilization is built upon one very simple assumption: that time changes people. Krishnamurti questioned that assumption, not with another belief, not with another philosophy, but with a simple question. Does time actually change you, or does time merely make you older? Are there two kinds of time? We all know that a seed needs time to become a tree. A child needs time to grow. Learning a language takes time. Learning the piano takes time. Building a house takes time. No one questions that. That is chronological time. The time measured by the clock. The time of the physical world. But when you say, "I will become less angry. I will stop being jealous. I will overcome fear. I will become more loving," is that the same kind of time? Or is something entirely different taking place? Do not answer too quickly. Simply observe. What is tomorrow, really? When you say, "I will change tomorrow," where is tomorrow? Can you touch it? Can you see it? Or does it exist only as a thought? If tomorrow exists only as a thought, then what is it that promises change? Thought or you? This is not an easy question. From childhood, we have been taught that everything requires time. Gradually, we carry that same belief into our inner lives. We say, "I will become less selfish. I will find peace. I will awaken." But does inner transformation really happen that way? Or is the idea of tomorrow preventing us from seeing what is here today? How do we look at life? Krishnamurti once spoke about a tree. You walk past it every day. You look at it. Immediately, you say, "A tree," and observation ends. What just happened? Did you actually see the tree? Or did you merely recognize its name? The moment you named it, memory replaced observation. Meanwhile, the tree never stood still. A leaf has fallen. A new bud has appeared. The light has changed. The wind has shifted. Everything is in movement. Only the mind wants to turn it into something already known. Perhaps life is the same. It is not life that repeats itself. It is memory that makes everything appear the same. Do we look at ourselves the same way? You say, I am an angry person. I am shy. I always fail. I cannot change. Watch carefully. Who is speaking? Is it the living human being in this moment? Or is it memory speaking? Are you actually looking at yourself? Or are you looking at an image created by the past? If every day you see yourself through yesterday's conclusions, will you ever meet the person who exists now? Observation can happen only in the present. If you look at someone you love through yesterday's hurts, you will never truly meet them. If you look at yourself through old failures, you will never discover who you are today. If you look at life through memory, you will miss what is unfolding before your eyes. Perhaps that is why Krishnamurti spoke so often about observation, not analysis, not interpretation, not conclusion, simply observation, completely, without choice, without comparison, without judgment. For only then is the mind no longer pulled by the past or rushing toward the future. Does transformation require time? Perhaps this is the most important question of all. If you accidentally place your hand on a burning stove, do you say, I will let go tomorrow? Or do you release it immediately? What made the hand let go? Was it time? Or was it the direct perception of reality? Perhaps every profound inner transformation begins in exactly the same way. Not through more time, not through more knowledge, not through more experience, but in the moment, you see something so completely, so clearly, that continuing to live as before is no longer possible. Take this question with you. Before we move to the next lesson, carry one question with you. Throughout a single day, how many moments are you truly living what is happening now? And how many moments are you living through memory or through hope for tomorrow? Do not try to answer. Simply observe. Perhaps what transforms a human being is not time, but the moment one truly sees. The most frightening thing about love is not betrayal. It is that so many people never realize whether they are truly in love or simply afraid to lose someone. It is late at night, your phone screen is still glowing. Your message is sitting there. No seen notification. You put the phone down. 30 seconds later, you pick it up again. The other person has said nothing, but inside your mind, the story has already begun. Where are they? Am I no longer important to them? A message left unanswered suddenly becomes evidence that you are about to be abandoned. What has just hurt you? Their silence or the fear within you? Using that silence to tell a story. If it is not love, then what is operating within this relationship? Remember the last time you said, I'm only worried about you. Or, I just want to know where you are. Those words sound gentle, but when they reply too slowly, you become uneasy. When they ask to be alone, you feel pushed away. Do you want them to be at peace? Or do you want them to remain exactly where you need them so that you can feel at peace? Fear rarely says, I am afraid. It says, I'm only doing this because I care. Fear often speaks in the voice of love. Think back to an argument. The other person says, I need some time alone. Had those words come from a colleague, they might not have hurt you at all. But because they came from someone you love, you hear something else. I don't need you anymore. The person is still standing in front of you. But what you are seeing is another moment when you were abandoned. A promise that was once broken. An old wound that has just found a new face. You are not reacting to the person before you. You are reacting to the image you carry of them. And when they no longer fit that image, you say, you've changed. But is their change really what hurts you? Or is it that they no longer make you feel as safe as they once did? What you are afraid of losing may not be the person. It may be the feeling of safety they once gave you. Now, imagine this tomorrow. They are still the same person. Still kind, still caring. Only one thing has changed. They no longer need you. They remain beside you, but they no longer depend on you to feel complete. What appears within you first? Joy, because the person you love is free. Or fear, because you are no longer someone they cannot live without. If their freedom feels like a threat to you, do you love them? Or do you love the position you hold in their life? Perhaps it is in that moment that you finally see whether you are loving or holding on. There was a man who spent almost his entire life observing this question. His name was Krishnamurti, but his name is not what matters. What matters is the question he left behind. When there is possession, can love still exist? Perhaps the opposite of love is not hatred. Perhaps it is possession. Because the moment we possess someone, we no longer meet a human being. We meet a role. Someone who must answer when we need them, who must stay when we are afraid. Where possession exists, love begins to disappear. This does not mean you must accept being hurt. You can say, when you disappear for a long time without letting me know, I feel unsettled. Can we talk openly about what we need from each other? Or you can say, if you loved me, you would never do this. One sentence opens a conversation. The other turns love into a condition. You can love someone and still have boundaries. You can leave without hatred. But before you act, look carefully. Are you responding to what is actually happening? Or are you running from the fear of what might happen? The next time you feel the urge to check their phone, pause, not to suppress the feeling, only to observe it. What is the fact? And what is the story your mind is creating? If it is not love, then what is operating within you? Do not condemn it. Do not justify it. Simply look, because when you see clearly, a small space appears between emotion and action. And within that space, you no longer have to hurt another person simply because you are hurting. Perhaps one day you will realize that the person you were always trying to hold on to never truly belonged to you. What you were holding was only an image of them inside your mind, an image created from memories, expectations, and the fear of loss. Then that image begins to dissolve. The other person is still there, but for the first time, you see them, not as someone who must make you happy, not as someone who must stay, but but simply as a human being, free, impossible to possess. And perhaps the most important question is not whether the other person loves you. It is this: in this moment, when you say, "I love you," what is actually present? Freedom or fear? Do not answer. Perhaps the act of observing is already the beginning of love. The most dangerous illusion in a relationship is not that someone is lying to you. It is believing that you see them clearly when perhaps you have not seen them for years. Morning. Two people sit across from each other. A cup of coffee grows cold between them. One person is quiet. The other watches. A face without a smile. A short reply. A pair of eyes looking somewhere else. And almost immediately, the mind begins to speak. They are angry with me. They are becoming distant. This always happens. But perhaps they are simply tired. Perhaps they barely slept. Perhaps their silence has nothing to do with you. Yet you are no longer looking at the person sitting across the table. You are looking at yesterday, at the last argument, at the last time they withdrew, at everything their silence has ever meant to you. The person is still there, but you have stopped seeing them. So the question is not only, who are they? The deeper question is, what am I seeing when I look at them? The person or the image? Images are not created all at once. They are built slowly. A sentence, a disappointment, a promise kept, a promise broken, a moment of tenderness, a moment of cruelty. The mind records each one. Then it begins to collect them. He is kind. She is selfish. He never listens. She always leaves. And eventually, we no longer meet a living human being. We meet a conclusion. Think of someone you have known for many years. Before they enter the room, you already know how they will speak, how they will react, what they will misunderstand. You prepare your answer before they have even finished their sentence. Then they speak, and you hear exactly what you expected to hear. But did you truly listen, or did the image listen for you? An image is memory, pretending to be perception. Imagine a stranger says, "You seem distracted today." You may smile, you may explain, you may forget the sentence a moment later, but if the person you love says the same words, something changes. You may hear criticism, disappointment, rejection. Why? The words are the same. The voice may even be gentle, but the person speaking carries a history, and that history enters the room before they do. You are not responding only to what was said. You are responding to everything you remember about the person who said it, and they are doing the same with you. Two people may be sitting in the same room, while four people are having the conversation. You, the image they carry of you, them, and the image you carry of them. Perhaps this is why some arguments feel impossible to end. The present moment is small, but the past standing behind it is enormous. Someone forgets to call, but you are not arguing about a missed call. You are arguing about every moment. You felt unimportant. Someone asked for space, but you are not hearing a request for space. You are hearing every goodbye you have ever feared. The words belong to the present. The pain belongs to many different years. And then we say, "You always do this. You never understand me. Always, never." These words sound certain, but they are rarely about what is happening now. They belong to the image. An image needs repetition. It needs the other person to remain predictable. Because if they can change, the image can no longer survive. Perhaps that is why change can feel like betrayal. A child grows older, but the parent still sees someone who cannot decide alone. The parent says, "I know you better than you know yourself." The child hears, "You do not see who I have become." A husband looks at his wife through an argument that happened 5 years ago. A wife looks at her husband through a promise he once failed to keep. They may still love each other. They may still share a home. But when they look, they see history, not the person who is standing there now. Ask yourself, when was the last time you looked at someone you love without immediately naming them? My partner, my mother, my child, the person who hurt me, the person who saved me, the person who should understand me. The moment you name the role, expectation enters. A partner should stay. A parent should protect. A child should obey. The person disappears, and the role takes their place. But a human being is never only a role. They are moving, learning, contradicting themselves, discovering things they did not know yesterday. The image is fixed. The person is alive. And perhaps this is the beginning of conflict. We want the living person to remain loyal to the image we created. Now imagine something. The person you love is sitting in front of you. They look the same. Their voice is the same. Their hands, their face, nothing has changed, except you can no longer remember anything they have done to you. No wounds, no promises, no disappointments, no beautiful moments to cling to. For one moment, there is no history. Only this person, here, now. Would you still know them? Would you still love them? Or would you feel afraid? Because without the image, you no longer know who they are to you. And now imagine the opposite. They forget every image they have created of you. They no longer see you as difficult, strong, needy, successful, cold, the one who always stays, the one who always fails. They look at you as though they have never met you before. What would you feel? Relief or fear? Because without their image of you, who are you? Perhaps we do not only create images of other people, we begin to live inside the images they create of us. The dependable one, the intelligent one, the victim, the rescuer, the person no one can leave. And when they stop seeing us that way, something in us begins to panic. There was a man who returned to this question again and again. His name was Krishnamurti. But the name is not important. The question is, can there be a real relationship between two images? One image may touch another. One memory may answer another. But can images love? Perhaps relationship begins only when the image becomes silent. Not permanently. Not through effort. But for a single moment. When you realize, I am not looking at this person. I am looking at what I remember. That realization changes something. You do not have to destroy the image. You do not have to fight it. You only have to see that it is there. The next time someone you love says something that hurts, pause. Before answering, ask, what actually happened? What words were spoken? And what did memory add? Did they reject you? Or did their silence touch? An old feeling of rejection? Did they betray you? Or did they simply fail to behave according to your image? The answer may still be painful. They may truly have lied. They may truly have caused harm. Seeing without an image does not mean ignoring reality. It means meeting reality without allowing the past to speak in its place. Perhaps then you can respond to this moment, not to 10 years of memories, not to a person who no longer exists, not to the role you need them to continue playing, only to what is here. Look at someone you love. Really look before the name appears, before the history returns, before the mind says, I know you. Is there even 1 second in which you can see them? Without yesterday? Perhaps the saddest thing is not that people leave us. Perhaps it is that they remain beside us, while the image we created takes their place. We speak to the image. We become angry with the image. We try to change the image. And the living person slowly disappears from view. Maybe one day the image begins to dissolve. Not because the past has vanished, but because you finally see that the past is not the person. They are still there, unfinished, uncertain, changing, alive. And for the first time, you do not ask them to remain who they were yesterday. So tonight, when you look at someone you love, do not ask, do I know this person? Ask something quieter, something more dangerous. Am I seeing them, or only the image I have created of them? Do not answer. Just look. Because perhaps the moment the image becomes silent is the first moment you truly meet. The deepest illusion in the mind may not be fear or anger or jealousy. It may be the belief that somewhere inside you there is a separate person watching it all happen. A judge, a controller, a voice that says, I should not feel this. But who is that voice? And is it truly separate from the feeling it is trying to control? The argument is over. The door closes. The room becomes quiet. But inside you, the argument continues. Your face is tense. Your breathing is shallow. The words you said keep returning. Then another voice appears. I should not have done that. I must control my anger. I need to become a better person. Suddenly, there seem to be two of you, the one who became angry and the one who is now watching the anger. One is the problem. The other believes it can solve the problem. But look carefully. Who is the one saying, I must control myself? Where did that voice come from? Is it truly outside the anger? Or is it another movement of the same mind? The anger appeared because something was touched. A memory, an expectation, an image of yourself. Perhaps someone spoke to you in a way you believed you should never be spoken to. And immediately, the mind remembered who you are. I am respected. I am reasonable. I am not someone who can be treated like this. The words wounded that image. Anger appeared. Then another image stepped forward. The image of someone calm, mature, in control. And that image said, I must not be angry. One image was wounded. Another image tried to repair it. So who is observing whom? Perhaps the observer is not a quiet presence standing outside the storm. Perhaps the observer is the storm, speaking in a different voice. Normally, we do not question this division. We say, I am angry. And then, I must overcome my anger. The sentence appears natural. But hidden inside it is an assumption that I and anger are two separate things. One will control the other. One will improve the other. One will eventually become free of the other. But what is this I? Is it not made from memory? From experience? From what you have been taught? From the image of who you believe you should be? And was the anger not also shaped by memory, experience, and conditioning? The controller and the controlled come from the same movement. Thought divides itself, then begins to fight itself. One part says, I must change. Another part resists. One part says, I must forgive. Another part remembers. One part says, I must let go. Another part continues to hold on. Then the mind asks, why am I still in conflict? But the conflict began. The moment thought divided itself into two, the observer and the observed. Who is the observer? Do not answer too quickly. Any answer may become another conclusion, another piece of knowledge, another voice saying, I understand. But understanding the words is not the same as seeing the fact. The fact must be seen while the movement is happening. In the moment anger rises, in the moment the observer appears and begins to condemn it. Can you see both movements without choosing between them? Without saying one is good and the other is bad? Without trying to become a different person? There was a man who returned to this question throughout his life. His name was Krishnamurti. But the name is not important. The discovery is. The observer is the observed. The person judging anger is not entirely separate from anger. The thinker is not outside thought. The one who says, I must become different, is itself shaped by what has already been. At first, this may sound abstract, but observation begins with something very simple. Not interpretation, not analysis, not asking why, just seeing what is happening. There is tension in the body. There is heat. There is an image. There is a memory. There is an impulse to speak. Then thought says, this is anger. A second thought appears. Anger is wrong. Then another. I must control it. In only a few seconds, the original feeling has become a conflict. Not only anger, but resistance to anger. Not only pain, but judgment of pain. Not only fear, but fear of fear. The second example begins in a quieter room. You are waiting for news. The message has not arrived. Outside, the day continues. A car passes. Someone closes a gate. Light moves slowly across the wall. But inside, the mind is already living tomorrow. It creates an image. Then another. A voice on the phone. A sentence you do not want to hear. A life divided into before and after. The body responds to something that has not happened. The chest tightens. The breath becomes shallow. Then the observer appears. I must stop thinking about this. I should remain calm. I must not be afraid. But look again. Why does the observer want fear to end? Because it is afraid of uncertainty, afraid of losing control, afraid of what may happen. The one trying to control fear is itself made from fear. When this is seen clearly, something changes. Not because fear disappears, not because you have found a method to control it, but because the division begins to lose its meaning. There is no longer a separate person standing outside fear, trying to defeat it. There is only the movement itself, the sensation, the image, the thought of tomorrow, the desire to escape. Can that movement be watched without naming it? Without calling it my fear? Without saying it should not exist? Not coldly, not from a distance, but with complete attention. Observation without an observer does not mean becoming passive. It does not mean allowing anger to become violence. It does not mean allowing fear to make every decision. It means seeing the movement before thought divides it, before judgment begins, before the image of who you should be takes control. In that attention, there is no controller, and therefore no struggle between what is happening and what should be happening. Perhaps we rarely experience a feeling directly. We experience the word, the story, the memory, the resistance, the conclusion. I know what this is. But the moment the mind says, I know, is it still observing? Or is it looking through what happened before? In the previous lesson, we saw how an image can stand between two people. But there is another image, even closer. The image you have created of yourself. I am strong. I am calm. I am damaged. I am anxious. I am someone who never loses control. Then life contradicts that image. Anger appears. Fear appears. And something inside you begins to collapse. Perhaps what hurts is not only the emotion, perhaps it is watching the person you believed you were disappear. This is why true observation can feel dangerous. It does not protect the image. It does not promise to turn you into a better version of yourself. It may reveal that the one trying to improve is itself an image. You want to become peaceful, fearless, more loving. But who wants to become those things? Is it intelligence, or is it the old self? Searching for a more beautiful identity? So the next time a strong feeling appears, do not immediately ask, how do I control this? Do not immediately say, I should not feel this. Pause. Watch the body. Watch the image. Watch the thought. That names the feeling. Then watch the voice that judges it. Can you see that all of it belongs to one movement? Do not try to reach a state without an observer. The one trying to reach that state would simply become another observer. Do not turn this into a method. Do not practice becoming silent. Just notice when the division begins, the feeling, the naming, the judgment, the desire to escape, the one who says, I must change. See the whole movement as one. Perhaps, in complete observation, there is no center from which you are watching. There is no judge, no controller, no person standing apart and saying, this should not be happening. There is only attention. And in that attention, the old conflict has nowhere to continue. Perhaps, all your life, you have been trying to change yourself without ever asking who was trying to do the changing. Stay with that. The most dangerous thing thought can do is not deceive you. It is make you forget that it is only thought. A sentence appears in the mind, and the body begins to suffer, as though it were already true. Your phone vibrates. A message appears. We need to talk tomorrow. Only 5 words. The room has not changed. The walls are still quiet. The light from the screen rests on your hand. Nothing has happened. And yet, within seconds, tomorrow has already begun. You imagine the conversation, the expression on their face, the pause before they speak, the words you do not want to hear. Perhaps they are leaving. Perhaps you have failed. Perhaps your life is about to change. The phone is still in your hand. The conversation has not happened, but your chest tightens. Your breathing changes. Your body begins to respond to an event that exists only in thought. What is the fact? 5 words on a screen. What has thought added? A future, an ending, a loss, an entire world created in a few seconds. Thought takes what is unknown and fills it with what is already known. A past rejection, an old goodbye, A moment when you were not chosen, it reaches into memory, takes an image from yesterday, and places it inside tomorrow. Then it says, "This is what will happen." Tomorrow has not arrived, but thought speaks as though it has already been there. It does not say, "I am imagining." It says, "I know." Can thought know what has not yet happened? Or can it only project what has already happened into a space it cannot control? Thought has an important place. It remembers your name. It learns a language. It finds the road home. It plans, measures, builds. Without thought, daily life would become impossible. But something changes when thought enters the psychological world. When it asks, "Will I still be loved? Will I always be safe? Will this pain return?" It searches memory for an answer. But memory contains only what has already happened. So every answer arrives, carrying yesterday. Thought may look toward tomorrow, but it looks through the eyes of the past. The message remains unanswered. You walk across the room, then back again. You prepare what you will say. You defend yourself against words that have not been spoken. You become angry with someone who has not yet explained. By morning, you may have lived the same imagined ending again and again and again. Perhaps tomorrow will be painful. Perhaps it will not. But thought has already made you experience the pain before life has touched you. Thought says, "If I imagine every possibility, nothing will surprise me. If I prepare for the worst, I will be safe." But is this safety? Or are you repeatedly living the very thing you are trying to avoid? Thought does not always protect you from pain. Sometimes it makes you suffer it in advance. Then another thought appears. I must stop thinking. I need to control my mind. I should remain in the present. But who is trying to stop thought? Another thought. One thought creates fear. Another tries to remove it. One imagines tomorrow. Another condemns the imagination. Thought divides itself, then begins to fight itself. The observer who says, "I must control my thoughts," is also created by thought. An image of someone calm, present, untroubled. One thought judges another. While imagining, it stands outside the movement. But the thinker is part of thought. There was a man who returned to this question throughout his life. His name was Krishnamurti. But the name is not important. The question is, can thought, which is born from memory, ever meet something completely new? Thought can be intelligent, creative, technically brilliant. But psychologically, it always arrives from what has been. It carries experience, knowledge, pleasure, pain, fear. It may create a new explanation, but the material is still memory. Late at night, another scene begins. The room is dark. The event happened years ago. Someone said something that humiliated you. Perhaps everyone else has forgotten. Perhaps the person who said it does not even remember. But you do. The sentence returns. Their face returns. The sound of the room. The feeling in your body. The event is over. Nothing is happening now. And yet, your jaw tightens. Your heart beats faster. You begin answering them again, inside your mind. This time, you say the perfect words. This time, you do not remain silent. But there is no one in the room, only thought, rebuilding the past, inside the present. If the event ended years ago, what is happening now? The past itself? Or thought? Giving the past another life. A memory appears. and the wound becomes present again. Thought says, I am remembering, but the body is reliving. Perhaps psychological time begins here. I was hurt. I am wounded. I may be hurt again. The past moves through the present and becomes the future. Thought creates fear of tomorrow, then promises a safer tomorrow. It revives the wound, then searches for a way to escape the wound. Can the same movement that sustains the conflict bring the conflict to an end? Perhaps the question is not how to stop thought. Any method would require thought. Any goal would create another future, another struggle. The question may be simpler. Can thought be seen as thought? When the message appears, we need to talk tomorrow. Can you see the words? Then the image that follows? The remembered goodbye? The sensation in the body? Can you observe the movement without following it and without trying to silence it? Not, I must stop thinking. Only, thought is moving. A thought says, they are going to leave. Can it be heard as a thought rather than accepted as a fact? Not believed, not rejected, simply seen. Tomorrow finally arrives. You sit across from the person. They begin to speak. Perhaps the conversation is painful. Perhaps the message meant something completely different. But can you listen? Not through the conversation. Thought created last night. Not through the answers you prepared. Not through an ending you have already imagined. Can you meet the actual moment without forcing it to become the future thought predicted? Thought prefers the known. Even a painful conclusion can feel safer than uncertainty. The known gives thought a place to stand. The unknown offers no image, no certainty, no control. But is the image protection, or is it a wall between you and what is actually happening? Do not turn observation into a method. The moment you say, I will observe thought, so that thought becomes silent. Thought has created another goal, another future, another struggle. The one trying to become silent is still thought. Just notice the movement, the word, the image, the memory, the sensation, the story beginning to form. The next time thought says, this is reality. Pause. Ask nothing. Change nothing. Simply look. Is it reality? Or is it thought speaking in the voice of reality? Stay with that. You may have lived surrounded by silence your entire life without ever hearing it. Listen, not to me. Listen, right now. Perhaps there is a fan, a bird, a distant engine, someone walking upstairs. Perhaps there is only your own breathing. Do not choose one sound. Do not search for a special sound. Simply listen. Now notice what happens next. Almost immediately, thought begins speaking. That bird is beautiful. I wish that noise would stop. Where is that sound coming from? I am finally relaxing. The sound was never the problem. The commentary came afterward. Can there be listening before thought comments? A sound appears. For one instant, there is only sound. Then the mind names it. Bird, traffic, wind, voice. The name seems harmless. But once the name appears, memory enters. The bird reminds you of another morning. The voice reminds you of someone you knew. The engine becomes irritating. The silence becomes peaceful. And slowly, you are no longer listening to what is here. You are listening through what you already know. Thought says, I like this. I do not like this. This should continue. This should stop. The sound passes, but the reaction remains. Perhaps listening ends. The moment the mind begins to choose. Listen again. A sound nearby. Another sound farther away. Your breath. The movement of the room. Can they all be heard without selecting one? Without pushing one away? Without waiting for something more beautiful? The moment you prefer one sound, another becomes noise. The moment you search for silence, sound becomes an obstacle. Then the mind begins to struggle. It wants the car to pass, the neighbor to stop moving, the bird to return, the room to become exactly as it was before. But is this listening, or is it desire, using listening to create an experience? Perhaps silence is not found by removing sound. Perhaps silence is present when nothing is being resisted. Now, someone you love is speaking. They are trying to tell you something difficult. You look at their face. You hear the words. But before they finish, your answer has already begun. You remember what happened the last time. You prepare your defense. You search for the sentence that will make them understand, or the sentence that will prove them wrong. They are still speaking, but inside, you are speaking too. Are you listening or waiting for your turn? Thought says, I understand. I agree. I disagree. I know what you mean. I remember when you did this before. And with each sentence, the person in front of you moves farther away. You are no longer hearing them. You are hearing memory, judgment, expectation, the image you carry of who they are. They say, I feel alone. You hear, you're blaming me. They say, I need some space. You hear, you no longer love me. The words are simple, but thought adds a history, a conclusion, a wound. Or what would happen if for one moment you did not prepare an answer? If you did not agree or disagree? If you did not translate their words through yesterday? Could you hear the sentence itself? The pause before it? The fear beneath it? Perhaps silence does not begin when both people stop speaking. Perhaps silence begins when thought no longer stands between them. There may be no sound coming from your mouth, but inside, you are correcting, comparing, interpreting, defending. This is not silence. It is conversation that has not reached the lips. Who is listening? We usually imagine there is someone inside, receiving the sounds, a listener, a center, a person who says, this sound pleases me. This person has hurt me. I already know what this means. But what is that listener? Is it not memory, experience, knowledge, the image you have of yourself, the image you have of the other person? The listener hears a word and immediately responds from what has been. It recognizes, compares, measures, judges. It says, I have heard this before. But if it is hearing through the past, is it listening now? The listener may be the noise. Do not accept that. Do not reject it. Listen to the movement. A sound appears, then a name, then a memory, then a reaction, then the feeling. I am listening. But perhaps what is listening is only the past, meeting the present. Many years ago, Krishnamurti asked a simple question. Not, how do we become silent? But, can there be listening without the listener? It is a strange question. Yet, if you stay with it, everything we have explored so far, thought, image, the observer, begins to meet at a single point. Not a better listener, not a calmer listener, not someone trained to listen correctly. Because the one trying to become a better listener would still be the listener, still measuring, still controlling, still waiting for an experience called silence. Can there simply be listening? A bird calls. No one says, "Bird." A person speaks. No one immediately said, "Right," or "Wrong." There is no center collecting the sound, turning it into memory, asking what it means for me. Only the sound, only the voice, only what is here. Perhaps in such listening, silence is already present, not after sound ends, not when the world becomes still, not when thought has been forced away, but in the act of listening itself. Silence is not the opposite of noise. If silence were the opposite of noise, it would depend on noise. It would appear only when noise disappeared. It would belong to the same movement, but perhaps silence has no opposite. A sound can exist within silence. A thought can appear within silence. But the moment the mind holds it, rejects it, or follows it, the listener returns. And with the listener comes the noise. Do not try to listen without the listener. The one trying to do that would simply become another listener. Do not turn this into a method. Do not practice silence. Do not wait for a special state. Listen to the sound, to the reaction, to the thought saying, "I am listening," without changing anything, without holding anything, without moving toward another moment. Perhaps the next time someone speaks to you, you will notice the answer forming before they finish. Pause. Do not silence it. Do not follow it. Simply listen. Is there someone listening? Or only listening? Stay with that. Some of the most important moments of your life may not have been missed because you looked away. They may have been missed because you believed. You were paying attention. A child stands beside you. They are holding a drawing. Look. You turn your head. You see the paper. A house. A tree. A small figure beneath a yellow sun. "That's beautiful," you say. The child remains there, still holding the drawing, because you looked, but perhaps you did not see. Your phone is still in your hand. Part of the mind is reading the last message. Another part is preparing what to do next. And somewhere between them, the child is waiting. What does it mean to pay attention? We often think attention is something we give, like time or money. I will give you my attention. But what are we giving? A few seconds? A glance? A mind divided between what is here and what comes next? The child points to the small figure. "That's you." You look again, but thought is already moving. Why did they draw me so far away? Why is the house so large? Why am I standing alone? In a moment, the drawing becomes a question about you. The child is still speaking, but attention has moved from what they are showing to what it means for the person watching. Is that attention? Or is thought using the moment to continue its own story? We often confuse attention with concentration. Concentration says, "Focus here. Do not look there. Remove the distraction." It creates a narrow space, then guards its boundaries. A sound appears. Concentration rejects it. A thought appears. Concentration pushes it away. The mind wanders. Then another voice says, "Pay attention." But who is giving the order? And what is being excluded? Concentration may be necessary to read a number, to repair a machine, to complete a difficult task. It has a direction, a goal, a result. But attention may be something entirely different. Attention does not say, "This matters," and that does not. It does not choose the child's voice and resist the vibration of the phone. It notices both: the voice, the screen, the movement of your hand, the impulse to look away, the thought saying, "I will listen in a moment." Nothing is excluded, nothing is followed. The whole movement is seen. Perhaps attention begins when choice ends. Do not accept that. Look, the moment the mind chooses, it has already decided what is important. It listens to praise and barely hears criticism. It sees what confirms what it already believes. It notices the person who ignored it and forgets the 10 people who did not. Choice may feel like attention, but choice is often memory, deciding what it wants to see. The past says, "This is dangerous. This is familiar. This is useful. This person matters. This feeling must disappear." And attention becomes selective. Not because life is divided, but because the mind is geeky. Now, another moment. You are walking home. The day is almost over. For several minutes, you have been thinking about tomorrow. A conversation, a decision, something unfinished. You pass the same street. You have passed many times. Then, for no clear reason, thought stops. Not through effort, not because you commanded it. It simply stops. For one moment, there is the entire street, the sound of footsteps, light on a window, a bicycle moving past, the cold air against your face. Nothing is separate. Nothing is being named. There is no attempt to hold the moment. There is only attention. Then thought returns. That was peaceful. I wish I could stay like that. How can I experience it again? And the moment becomes memory, then a goal, then something you want to recover. Can attention be repeated? The memory of attention is not attention. The idea of being present is not presence. The effort to return to a past moment is thought, moving toward its own image. Many years ago, Krishnamurti asked a deceptively simple question: can there be attention without choice? If there is choice, there is preference. If there is preference, there is a center, saying, "This is important to me. This is not. This must remain. This must disappear." But can there be attention without that center? Not better concentration, not greater discipline, not a mind trained to remain on one object. Attention without a controller, without someone inside directing the light. Because the one who says, "I must become attentive," is already divided. There is the person who is inattentive, and the person who intends to correct it. One part of the mind is training another. One is watching, one is being watched, and the old conflict begins again. The one trying to become attentive may itself be inattention, not because effort is wrong, but because while the mind is pursuing attention, it is no longer attending to what is actually happening. The restlessness, the boredom, the movement toward escape, the desire to arrive at a better state, those are treated as obstacles. But what if they are the very things asking to be seen? You feel bored. Immediately the hand moves toward the phone. Thought promises something more interesting. Can the whole movement be seen without stopping it and without following it? The heaviness, the impatience, the desire to escape, the movement of the hand. This is not concentration. There is no chosen object, no method, no reward. There is only the fact revealing itself. Attention has no center. There is no person saying, "I am attentive." Because the moment that sentence appears, thought has stepped outside the moment and begun to measure it. How long can I maintain this? Am I doing it correctly? Is this what attention feels like? The observer returns, and attention becomes an experience belonging to someone. But in attention, is there someone attending? Or only the light of seeing? Return to the child. The drawing is still there. The house, the tree, the small figure. Beneath the yellow sun. Can you look without interpreting? Without praising automatically? Without asking what the drawing says about you? Can you see the line that was erased? The color outside the edge? The child's fingers holding the corner of the page? Can you hear the hesitation in their voice? For one moment, nothing stands between you. And what is there? No conclusion, no image, no future response, only seeing, only listening. But look more closely. The moment, there is someone paying attention, someone measuring it, holding it, trying to continue it. Attention has already become another activity of thought. Do not try to become attentive. The one trying would create another ideal and another distance between what is and what should be. Do not practice attention. Do not hold it. Do not measure how long it lasts. The next time someone says, "Look," or "Listen," notice what appears: the eyes, the memory, the answer, the desire to escape, the one saying, "I am paying attention." Change nothing. Choose nothing. Simply see. Is there attention, or is thought watching itself and calling that attention? Stay with that. You may spend your entire life trying to become free without ever noticing that the one trying to escape is carrying the prison. It is early morning. A suitcase stands beside the door. The room is almost empty. A few clothes remain inside an open drawer. A cup sits untouched on the table. You hold the keys in your hand. For months, perhaps years, you have imagined this moment, the moment you finally leave. The relationship, the job, the house, the city, the life that no longer feels like your own. You open the door. Cold air enters, and for one instant, everything feels possible. This is freedom. Weeks pass. A different room, a different street, different faces. But late at night, something familiar returns. The same restlessness, the same fear, the same need to be understood. The same voice asking, "What if I made the wrong choice?" You changed the place, but something came with you. This does not mean you should have stayed. Leaving may have been necessary. A door may truly need to be opened. But if the walls outside disappear, while the walls inside remain, what has been freed? We usually imagine freedom as movement, to leave, to choose, to refuse, to begin again, to become someone else. Freedom seems to exist on the other side of what is happening now, after the decision, after the fear ends, after the wound heals, after the mind becomes quiet. One day, I will be free. But what is this one day? It is thought, creating a future. And who is the person moving toward it? The person you are now, carrying memory, fear, desire, the image of what freedom should feel like. Thought creates the prison, then imagines a door. Look at the movement. You feel afraid. Thought says, I must become fearless. You feel dependent. Thought says, I must become independent. You feel confused. Thought creates an image of someone clear, strong, untouched. Then it begins moving toward that image. The person you are, trying to become the person you should be. And between them, time, effort, conflict. Is that movement freedom? Or is it the old mind, continuing under a new name? You may reject one belief and adopt another. Leave one group and enter another. End one relationship and begin the same pattern with a different face. Change your appearance, your habits, your language, your surroundings. Yet the movement beneath it all may remain untouched. The same fear, seeking safety. The same loneliness, seeking attachment. The same image, seeking recognition. The same thought, searching for a future where it will no longer be disturbed. You can leave a room and carry its walls inside you. So what is freedom? The image says, this is who I am. Thought says, this is what will happen. The observer says, I must change. The listener says, I already understand. The sender says, I am paying attention. Each voice seems different. But are they? Or are they all movements of the same past, entering the present, and calling itself, me? Do not answer with an idea. An idea of freedom is still created by thought, and thought can only build from what it already knows. Freedom becomes an image, a destination, an experience you once had or hoped to have. Then you began searching through relationships, through success, through solitude, through discipline, through meditation. But the search itself may hide something. Who is searching? We rarely ask that. We ask, how can I become free? What must I leave? What must I understand? What method should I follow? But before every method, before every path, there is the person who wants freedom. What is that person? A name, a history, a collection of wounds, pleasures, memories, conclusions, the image you carry of who you are, the image you hope to become. The past says, I want to be free from the past. Can the past free itself from the past? We have spent our lives moving toward freedom, becoming, improving, escaping, hoping. But every movement began from the same center. Perhaps freedom is not the result of becoming. Perhaps it is present in seeing the fear without immediately escaping it, seeing the image without trying to replace it with a better image, seeing thought without mistaking it for reality, seeing the observer without believing it stands outside what it observes, not one lesson after another, not one conclusion added to another, but the whole movement seen at once. And now the question becomes sharper. If the me is memory, image, thought, fear, and experience, can that me ever become free? Or will everything it does continue the structure from which it is trying to escape? The one seeking freedom may be the prison. Stay there for a moment. Do not turn it into a conclusion. Do not say, I understand. Do not agree. Do not disagree. Just look. The seeker wants to reach freedom. It creates a method, a goal, a future. It measures progress. I am becoming calmer. I am less afraid. I am more aware. Then it compares today with yesterday. It strengthens the image of someone who is slowly becoming free, but who is becoming. The old center has not disappeared. It has become spiritual, more disciplined, more refined, but it is still there, collecting experiences, measuring itself, trying to arrive. Do not try to destroy the center. The one trying to destroy it would be the same center, wearing another mask. Do not try to become free from the seeker. That effort would create another seeker. The one trying to reach freedom would simply become another movement away from what is. Then what can be done? Perhaps that question is already the beginning of another escape. The mind wants an action, a method, a next step, something it can practice, something it can control. But can you remain with what has been seen without moving away? Fear is there. Thought is there. The image is there. The desire to escape is there. Can the entire movement be seen without choosing one part, without condemning another, without asking what it will become? In that attention, there is no path, no distance, no future state, only the fact completely seen. Perhaps freedom is not freedom from something, because the moment you say, I must be free from fear, fear becomes the enemy, and you become the one who must defeat it. The division begins again. But when fear is seen without division, who is there to be free from it? When thought is seen as thought, who must silence it? When the image is seen as an image, who must destroy it? When the observer is seen as the observed, who remain to control the mind? Perhaps freedom is not an achievement. Perhaps it is what remains. When the movement toward becoming comes to an end, not because it was forced to stop, not because a method succeeded, but because its entire structure has been seen. The suitcase is still beside the door. The keys are still in your hand. You may leave. You may stay. The action may be the same, but something fundamental may be different. You are no longer leaving to become free. You are no longer staying because you are afraid. The action does not come from an image of tomorrow or the weight of yesterday. There is only the fact and the seeing of the fact. Perhaps then action has no conflict, no regret, no one standing outside it, asking whether the right choice was made. But do not call that freedom. The word may become another image, another experience to search for, another door painted onto the wall. The next time the mind says, I want to be free, pause. Do not ask, free from what? Do not ask, how? Look at the one. Who is asking? Is it something living? Something new? Or is it memory, searching for a future in which it can continue without being disturbed? And if that movement were to become completely still, not through control, not through effort, but through seeing, what would remain? Do not answer. Perhaps that is where freedom begins, or perhaps where the question of freedom ends.